Well, the Secretariat has received 2 questions before the workshop. Perhaps we can start with these 2 questions first. The first one is from PolyUSpeed. The first question is, how would RGC assessment panel members evaluate proposals that are non-empirical and conceptual? May we invite Professor Lee to answer the question?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, this is a very important question. So how the panel external reviewers evaluate conceptual proposals. Well, honestly, as I mentioned, the primary assessment criteria is academic quality. So we don't differentiate in terms of quality for conceptual paper, for conceptual proposal, and the empirical proposals. We pretty much evaluate based on their academic quality. So, by the way, we do encourage or we do welcome conceptual proposals as well as empirical proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lee. We also received another question from Caritas. The question is, aside from green PhDs, how important is PI's research track record for grant awards?
I will say a few words first, then I will pass the time to my colleagues. For green PIs, this panel, as I mentioned, this panel are kind of person, kind of gentleman, kind of lady. So we do pay special attention to the proposals submitted by green PIs. Each year in our assessment panel meeting, we will discuss the proposals submitted by green PI first, right? You see, agree. So for green PIs, we do encourage them to submit more proposals, and I'm sure our panels is very supportive to this proposal submitted by green PIs. So my colleagues, any further comments?
Okay, just now about the track record, and it is very important to demonstrate whether or not the PI, okay, no matter which is a green PI or the OPI, and whether or not they are feasible, okay, they are able to conduct that kind of experiment to demonstrate their capability. This is essential even for the green PI. And as Julie just now mentioned, that we have the budget that basically tailor for the green PI, and would be more lenient to green PI as well in the evaluations of the proposal.
So now is your turn. If you have a question in mind, please raise your hand. Our colleague will pass you the microphone. Please briefly introduce your name and your institution before asking the questions. Any questions from the floor? Oh, the gentleman in the middle, please.
Hi, thank you so much for the inspiring sharing from the panel and also from the grant holder. This is Sam Lau from Hong Kong Baptist University School of Continuing Education. I have one quick question. Given that we have 5 panels here, I was wondering if some of the project they may kind of fit into 2 different panels. It's always a struggle for us, sometimes or always, that choosing between the right panel for the proposal. Yeah, I think it's getting more and more the case that for one proposal that may lie into 2 different panels. I would like to see insights from the panel member. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Understand, nowadays, the interdisciplinary research is getting more and more popular, and the number of proposals which can be labeled as interdisciplinary also increased. We understand it, so that's why in your application form, there's a like a choice, right? Your primary field and the secondary field. You can make use of that to indicate your preference. And for our 5 subject conveners, they are knowledgeable persons, and they are able to assign readers according to the content of your proposal. So no worry, we welcome interdisciplinary research proposals.
again, right, I mean that these days, right, I mean that this knowledge is so broad. And I would say that even that for us on the panel, I mean, whether first reader, second reader, I have to say that even this is so-called that in our broad panel area, I mean that we are really no experts to those a lot of the so-called proposals. So therefore that we do really rely on these reviewers. So therefore that I think that it is really more important that I think that it is not, of course, finding the right panel is important, but I think it's more importantly to finding the right reviewers for your proposal, and that is really our job, and then to try to make sure that it is really in the hand of the right reviewers. Thank you.
Any more questions from the floor? The lady at the back, please.
Thank you so much for all your information sharing. My name is Anna. I'm proudly with a small college, Yuchong College of Early Childhood Education. I just have a question that maybe all of you know, but what is exactly a green PI? What does make one a green PI, like you were saying?
For the definition, let me explain, and our secretariat can supplement. So for the green definition of PI, so that means a faculty member work in one institution for less than 4 years. So you are able to claim you are a green PI in this institution. Thank you.
The gentleman at the back, please.
Thank you. Roger Chen, PolyU Speed. I would like to thank UGC for hosting this very important event and all the very significant sharing, which is indeed very helpful, in particular for our junior faculties. I have two questions. The first one is related to, in this day and age that we understand Gen AI, or artificial intelligence, is very important. In preparations of research proposal, how, in what way that colleagues should embrace Gen AI and at the same time try not to take AI as the boss of, as the sort of a pseudo PI. So in terms of assessment, how the panel members, will take that into considerations. If students submit research papers for projects, then we generally look for Turnitin, but in terms of assessing research proposals for competitive research grant, how panel members will comment on the use of Gen AI in assessing proposals. So this is the general questions. The second questions probably is more generic. We heard a lot of advice and tips and in terms of evaluating projects. But my experience is that getting the proposal funded is only the beginning of a long journey. I would like to invite, in particular the chair, to enlighten colleagues that in terms of assessment and evaluation, because at the end of the day, we need to submit a final report. And UGC take the final report very, very seriously, and it will impact upon the chance that colleagues may have a second or third proposal being approved. You need to at least have a satisfactory. Otherwise, this may be even more challenging than not having one. So perhaps, panel members or the chair can enlighten colleagues, that in preparing the final report for the granted proposal, what are the key issues that they need to take into consideration, including the budgeting? Thank you, Chair.
I can try to answer the question one. Roger, really glad to see you here. I was Roger's successor at Hong Kong U of the Associate Dean for Research. So you actually gave a very, very valuable question. I think at this moment I don't have an answer. But at Hong Kong U, we start to embrace generative AI in assignments. So we request the student to outline which part is generated by the AI, also the prompts and all these things. So that's considered in our assignment. But when it comes to the proposals here, so my understanding is that generative AI currently cannot guarantee the merit of the contents. So it's up to you to incorporate the contents generated by the AI. Yeah, that's basically my understanding so far. Hopefully colleagues may have some supplement.
I will supplement just one comment. We understand each UGC-funded institutions have come up with some guidelines on the use of the chatbot ChatGPT in teaching and learning. And I think most institutions are also working on the use of the generative AI in research. Your research office as well as our research office probably will work out the guideline. But at the same time, I just want to highlight PIs, you are accountable and responsible for the research proposal, not the machines. So just bear in mind, all tools, including ChatGPT, generative AI, and other software are just tools. It is up to the PIs to decide how to make use of the tools to come up with sound research. And eventually, you PIs would be held accountable and responsible for the research outcomes. Thank you.
So I assume that the use of the generative AI basically is for you to generate idea and to collect information that in your field or the scope of the study. And the PI is himself or herself basically responsible for the synthesis of knowledge. And sometimes the information from the generative AI or ChatGPT may not be correct. And so that you have to carefully to select the information that you may want to get from the generative AI. And the other question related to the evaluation after you got the GRF. Yeah, it's the first step. And so that when the PI write the proposal, make sure that the PI is able to do it, to perform it, not to say something that which is not achievable. Because we have the midterm and the final report to look at the progress of a PI. And we know that the funding is from the public. And so we have to make the PI, the responsible person, accountable. And so the PI promised something that they need to deliver. And although we really look into the final report seriously, but I do not think it is difficult to pass the final report. And so be responsible, and that should be fine. Yeah.
Well, I would like to add that when I evaluate the final report, the first thing I would look at would be, have you delivered what you have promised in your proposal? If you cannot, I would like to see the justifications you put in to justify why you cannot deliver certain outcomes. Yeah.
I just want to supplement a very important point on the consequence of having unsatisfactory or barely satisfactory proposal. Just want to share with everybody the real information. Last month, all the panel members here, subject committee here, and me, we had a meeting to discuss 3 proposals, which our project shareholder rated unsatisfactory or barely satisfactory. We do see some proposals, somehow for some reasons the PI failed to deliver the expected outcome. And for those proposals, I'm sorry, the panel have to make a decision to give some penalties to the PIs. So please do make use of the funding, and please do follow your implementation plan and submit the midterm report according to your schedule. If you have any difficulties, please feel free to reach us, the panel member, first reader, as well as our secretarial for help. And of course, I'm sure your department heads, your president, will be more than happy to help you when you encounter difficulties. Thank you.
Any more questions from the floor? And in view of the time constraint, this will be the last question. So if you have further inquiries, you are welcome to send it to the Secretariat after, via your research coordinator after the workshop. One question from Professor Loh.
Now, I understand this year the success rate of different panels varies a lot. Some is as high as 40% or higher than 40%, some are lower 20%. And especially for the business panel, in the last 5 years is under 20%, 15, 16, 17, you know. And I served in RGCF, GRF panel before, and I know that always there are borderline cases. I just make a request whether the business panel can give a little bit flexibility, you know, to those borderline cases, so that I think it's quite discourage a lot of our colleagues. You know, every year they submit, and every year they got turned down, and then so this is just my request to the business panel.
Before I invite Professor Chen to answer this tough question, I just want to share some information with our friends. In the last round of exercise, actually the success rate of the B panel increased by roughly 2 digits already. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. In fact, that I've also been looking at these statistics that the success rate for the business panel is not really as satisfactory as what I would like. But I have to say that, yes, it's a business panel, but business panel, well, we do have quite a lot of the readers. So altogether, we had last year, we have now probably 11 or so. So therefore, what I'm saying is that the low success rate, if it is, okay, it's not because of me alone, or not one or two persons, but rather that it is really just a consequence of the decisions of various readers. So for some reason, so therefore, I think that there will really be highlight, I mean, some of the weakness that maybe we would like to really share with the applicants. I think that our Professor Lee and also some of the colleagues also share what are really that the ingredients, right? I mean, for making a proposal successful. I think that I would say that I hope that our business colleagues, can we follow those advice and try to look at those a few elements, and then I hope that next year we will really get a much better outcome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, professors. As mentioned, if you have further inquiries, you're welcome to send it to the Secretariat via your research coordinator after the workshop. So we have come to the end of today's workshop. We would like to thank again Professor Julie Lee, Chair of the Assessment Panel, Professor Carlotte Chen, Professor Cheng Ai Heng, Professor Cecilia Chen, Professor Wilson Liu, and Professor Chris Wong, 5 subject conveners of the Assessment Panel, and our 3 honorable guest speakers, Dr. Belinda Yao, Professor Loh Teck Wing, and Professor Chen Yue-Wah, and all of you for joining our workshop today. I hope you all enjoyed today's workshop. We would also like to thank PolyUSpeed for providing us this venue and their kind support for the workshop.